So, in a story that I am excited to report on. And before I went live today, I was trying to do a whole lot of things. I was trying to get an interview with Tim Canova to cover that. I was trying to get an interview with the Harold Frazier, who is the chairman of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, because I wanted to interview him about this news that the Keystone pipeline, the permit that Trump allowed, like on day 2 of his presidency, he reversed Obama's denial of that final permit for Keystone. So, like he reversed the Dakota Access pipeline decision, he also reversed the Keystone pipeline decision, basically allowing Keystone 2.0, because that pipeline was stopped in 2011 by President Obama, basically because he was running for re-election, but whatever, we'll take it. So it was revitalized, and pre-construction was already beginning. Ty and I were actually talking to the tribe about going down to South Dakota, because it was going from Alberta, Canada, through Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, and of course, it's not for energy independence or use in America. It was then going to export terminals in the Gulf. But I was trying to get an interview with Chairman Frazier to see what he thought of this, because this is a great development. They got back to me that we could do it. It just we couldn't do it today. So anyway, let me give you the news here. The Keystone pipeline, a federal judge from Montana has reversed the decision, basically blocking Trump's final permit for the Keystone pipeline, which is amazing news. I want to temper it, and I want to be cautious with it because it is temporary and it obviously could be reversed, but got to take good news while it lasts. A federal judge temporarily blocked construction of the controversial Keystone XL pipeline, ruling late Thursday that the Trump administration had failed to justify its decision granting a permit for the 1,200-mile-long project designed to connect Canada's oil sands fields with Texas's Gulf Coast refineries. See, this is the Washington Post, so you can't really expect great reporting from them. It's not oil sand fields. It's oil tar sands. This is the most toxic shit you could put on Earth or in pipes. So you want to call it sand fields? Fine. It's actually tar sands, oil. So let me correct the Washington Post there. The judge, Brian Morris, of the U.S. District Court in Montana, said the State Department ignored crucial issues of climate change to further the president's goal of letting the pipeline being built. In doing so, the administration ran afoul of the Administrative Procedure Act, which requires, quote, reasoned explanations for government decisions, particularly when they represent reversals of well-studied actions. It was a major defeat for President Trump, who attacked the Obama administration for stopping the project in the face of protests and an environmental impact study. Trump signed an executive order 2 days into his presidency, setting in motion a course reversal on the Keystone XL pipeline. I want to read that one more time because there's a part of it that's really important. It was a major defeat for President Trump, who attacked the Obama administration for stopping the project in the face of protests and an environmental impact study. So there was no environmental impact study for the Dakota Access Pipeline, and I don't believe there was one for Keystone either. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't. An environmental impact study is different than an environmental assessment. An environmental impact study is a much more, the requirement is much more thorough. It can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years if done correctly. And it has to, it can't be the oil company is not the one who does the environmental study, okay? It is supposed to be the Army Corps of Engineers. Whereas an environmental assessment is a much easier thing to do. And the environmental assessment is done by the fossil fuel companies. So the fossil fuel companies hire a contractor to environmentally assess. And gee golly, Jim, these contractors that the fossil fuel companies end up hiring conclude every single time there's no environmental risk here. This is what happened with the Dakota Access Pipeline. I believe this is what happened with the Keystone XL Pipeline. I believe that's what's happened with the Bayou Bridge Pipeline. I believe this is what happened with the Trans-Pecos Pipeline. I believe this is what happened with the Rover Pipeline. I believe this is what happened with the Mountain Valley Pipeline. I believe this is what happened with the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. I could go on, folks. I could go on. But basically, the judge said, you all didn't do the legal due diligence here to actually make sure that the environmental risks of this aren't catastrophic and going to pour, no pun intended, gasoline on already very, very volatile climate change. The ruling highlights a broader legal vulnerability in the Trump administration's push to roll back Obama-era environmental protections. Since Trump took office, federal courts have found repeatedly that his agencies have short-circuited the regulatory process in areas ranging from water protections to chemical plant safety operations. Robust environmental and administrative procedure laws, many dating back to the 1970s, have given the administration's opponents plenty of legal ammunition. And I want to make a point here. And kudos to this judge. You got to, I'll knock the judicial system at any chance I get, but this judge is spot on. When he says the State Department ignored crucial issues of climate change to further the president's goal of letting the pipeline being built. In doing so, the administration ran afoul of the Administrative Procedure Act, which requires, quote, reasoned explanations for government decisions. This is the same exact thing that happened for the Dakota Access Pipeline, which obviously I was there quite extensively in the fall and winter of 2016 and then 2017. So I'm not basically they are short-circuiting. They are short-circuiting every single environmental impact study. They're not doing them. They are rerouting the pipelines into indigenous communities and poor communities because they don't want to put them in white communities. So the bottom line is this. This ruling should have been the ruling as far as the Dakota Access Pipeline and all of these pipelines, because if they actually did a thorough environmental impact study looking at the effects on water, looking at the effects on wildlife in the area, looking at the effects in air, looking at the effects on these communities' sacred land, many of these are indigenous communities, they wouldn't permit final permits for most of these pipelines. So basically the judge has ruled the permit that Trump granted has been temporarily blocked, and the judge has given TransCanada, the parent company, has given them the opportunity to go do that more thorough environmental review. So, hey, we'll take it. We'll take a temporary blockage, because a temporary blockage where they have to stop construction, we have to keep them honest and make sure they are actually not constructing, because a lot of times judges say you cannot, permit revoked, no more construction, and the oil companies and the fossil fuel companies just blow them off. Hey, we'll take the fine. We're going to keep building. So there actually has to be enforcement of this, and dare I say journalists on the ground, which we want to go to South Dakota and Montana to make sure that there is no construction going on. So that's part of what we want the GoFundMe funding for. I was actually planning on going to South Dakota before this decision was made, to interview people from the Cheyenne Sioux River tribe, which the pipeline was going through their reservation. I might still go, because I don't think we could do a victory lap here that it's totally over. It's not totally over. Again, it's a temporary blocking of the permit, which means no construction. The fossil fuel company has been given an opportunity to do, or the State Department to do further review. So it ain't over until it's over. But I can tell you, this temporary permit getting revoked, the investors in this pipeline, not going to be happy. Not going to be happy, because the pipeline has already been delayed many, many years. So further delay only means they're not getting their money. They're not getting their money. So there's the potential that you might very well see investors back out of this. So we'll keep on it. I mean, this is a good development for sure. This is a good development for sure, but it's just a development. It's not the final, this pipeline's never being built. So we need to be careful about that.